So this is one of the most surprising basketball shoes of the year so far, especially if you're looking for something ultra lightweight without sacrificing much of anything else. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. So today we got a performance review on these bad boys right here. This is the 361 BIG3 5.0 Quick Pro, if I'm not mistaken. And I was just kind of very impressed and very surprised. This was one hell of a shoe on court, and they're extremely lightweight in hand and everything. Kind of reminded me of the old Kobe 8s, not in terms of cushion, but just overall weight distribution.
That's high praise.
So 361 or 361 Degrees is a basketball brand that, or I wouldn't say basketball brand, they are a brand that makes very good basketball shoes. One of my favorites is still the AG1, the Aaron Gordons, the first ones. The other Aaron Gordon models have been really good too, but that's still like one of my favorites. The only downside of that was traction, especially outdoors, was not very durable. That's where I guess this shoe and other models come into play, like from the brand. They've really like stepped things up over the years, and it hasn't even been that long. How long ago was that Aaron Gordon shoe? 3 years. So not really that long ago, you know what I mean? So interesting. But this shoe right here, I grabbed along with the Spencer Dinwiddie 2s. This pair is actually brand new, but the pair that I've been playing in is in my gym bag. This is a really solid shoe too. I will say that I like this one a little bit more. This is great though for narrow footers. There's this lockdown thing on this, like integrated within the lacing system and the tongue. That's really crazy. It like literally cinches your foot onto the footbed. You're not going anywhere. Very similar tech though. So if you're interested in something like this, you know what I mean? Like if you got a super skinny foot, I would go with this guy. Not that these fit weird or anything, I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. But for $149, these not half bad, and on top of that, they're super lightweight. So I know you guys like things being weighed and everything. Well, I guess 12 ounces isn't super light, which is actually really interesting because they feel hella light in hand. Like 12 ounces is not light at all. What is in here that's heavy? They feel like nothing in your hand. The outsole right here is very reminiscent, at least for someone like me. Maybe if you've been around for a while or around this channel, you think so as well. They remind me a lot of the old KD stuff, like the KD5, the KD6. This is a pattern that does not look like it would perform well, especially on dusty courts, but that was not the case for whatever reason. I'm not really sure what it is. Obviously, we have two different rubber compounds. We've got translucent as well as solid. I didn't have a problem with either side of this stuff. Like this was crazy. Every once in a while you'd wipe, but nothing crazy. And this right here is proof that it's not just all about the pattern itself. Traction performance really does heavily rely on rubber compounds. And of course, it's good to have both, but rubber compounds can really get the job done when needed. So something like this, I was just, again, really surprised with. It works really well, especially indoors. It's probably not something that I would want to take outdoors, much like the AG1. It's just very thin. So this tread pattern would probably wear down really quickly. But if you're an indoor player and you're looking for something solid, this right here is probably going to be it. Now the cushioning is their quick foam system. So it's kind of an ETPU, but also feels kind of like P-backs and also kind of feels like supercritical foam all at the same time. That's the part that's kind of interesting because it is caged, especially right here on the lateral side from the forefoot damn near all the way to the rear. Nearly fully exposed on the medial though, with the exception of the rubber areas, but that wrapping up I think is great just for traction coverage, especially if you're a shifty player and you move on your toes. But with it being primarily caged, you don't actually feel it. Like you can feel a little bit of spring to your step. It's really quite nice, but it doesn't feel overtly bouncy or anything like that. So it's one of those interesting setups that, again, like I can't believe that these weighed. I'm like dumbfounded by that. Like that's like really with me right now. But again, that kind of emphasizes that it's not all about weight, it's all about construction. So this is one of Jordan Brand, at least what they're touting as one of their lightest shoes ever. Oh geez, those aren't very light either. What the?
How much do they weigh?
13 ounces. Yeah, see, that's lightweight. But what I was trying to say is that even though these right here, again, in hand, much like these, they feel extremely light. Maybe not Kobe 8 light, but light nonetheless. On foot, these feel like bricks. This ginormous EVA wing right here that completely cages your entire flex zone on top of this really giant rubber pad or pod. And yeah, there's two of them. So they're making sure that you can't move whatsoever. It's one of the dumbest decisions that I think I've ever seen on a basketball shoe, especially one that's touting lightweight as an actual attribute or feature. So again, it's not really about things being lightweight necessarily. That's great for marketing. It's great to trick you into wanting to buy or try something because it's ultra light, but it's all about the way that the shoe is constructed. You can have something ultra light feel really heavy and vice versa. You can have something ultra heavy feel really light. But either way, the midsole right here is very comfortable, not overly comfortable, just right. These really do remind me of the Kobe 8s. It's really weird. These feel more like a Kobe 8 than the Protro Kobe 8s. which I don't like saying. I really want the Pro Toes to be good. But yeah, if you're looking for impact protection without sacrificing any court feel, then this guy right here, you might want to check out. And the materials are really interesting because that's primarily where a lot of that lightweight aspect of the shoe is coming from. So the upper's knitted with a special woven technique. I apologize in advance if I f this up. Jizong. Now, obviously I could just be real basic and just be like, it's a textile, but that's what they're stating that it is. They're saying it's a very specific type of weave or knit within the upper. And what it's supposed to do is allow for a lot of strength without sacrificing any breathability and stuff. So kind of like what Flywire originally was touted as, like, oh, we're gonna have zonal protection layers and things like that, or zonal support features within the knit itself. And then other areas are gonna be knitted a little bit more loosely so that you can have some airflow. That's kind of what this reminds me of. The marketing aspect, not the material itself. So with that, it feels like, if I'm gonna compare it to anything, it feels very similar to Ripstop. It's kind of got that same, you know what I mean, like feel and look and texture and stuff. I will say though that they are really breathable. Like that was one of the weirder things. I've only a handful of times experienced shoes where you can feel the airflow as your feet start to sweat while you're on court. And this is one of those times. This shoe was kind of like, ooh, who turned on the AC? And while I'll say that ventilation at times can be maybe a category that's not as important as all the rest of them, your feet do appreciate some ventilation here and there, especially when you feel it. When you don't feel it, obviously it's like, huh. But when you start to feel it, you're kind of like, that's cool. In addition to that, they do have the standard TPU panels, so all of the heat weld or hot melt panels and things like that in all the high wear areas, the stress zones, which does include the eye stay, the collar, some of the rear, and then this toe area. This toe is not just for stress zones in the forefoot, but also to help it bond to the midsole, the tooling, the cup sole or the rubber. It's only a cup sole right here in the front, not in the back. But so far it's been very durable, so I'm impressed. I'll just say that. It doesn't get as jacked up as some of the other stuff like Ripstop that I've used previously. One of the key areas also for ventilation is the tongue. It's kind of an interesting feature because the tongue on the bottom half is ultra lightweight. Damn near feels cheap because of how thin everything is. But then right at that midfoot section and up, you can see that kind of bluish tint through the tongue itself. It adds padding there, so restricting a little bit of airflow, but that actually saves your ankles and your feet from lace pressure, especially in that area where you typically will cinch it up a little bit tighter, right in that like ankle zone. So I do appreciate that. I do wish that the tongue sat a little bit lower because that was sometimes like I felt like the laces and that padding area were missing a little bit, like they weren't like on top of each other the way that I wanted them to be. But outside of that, super solid setup. As far as fit is concerned, I think that they fit perfect true to size. If you're a wide footer, I could see where you'd want to maybe go up half a size. You might have some fit issues, especially in the heel, even though the collar and that heel is very well sculpted and padded. But still, when you go up half a size from your actual true size lengthwise, you will have some fit issues, especially in the back. And again, if you have a super narrow foot and you want that ultimate lockdown on the top of your foot, check out those Dinwiddie 2s. Those were pretty sweet. I forgot to talk about the insole. It's just this. It's nothing special. You can take it out. It's not bad, but it's not great either. If you needed additional of anything like extra torsion support, an arch plate, maybe even a little bit more cushion, who knows? You can always grab an aftermarket insole. It's not glued down or anything, so you can take this out, put in whatever else it is that you need, and you can put it in there no problem. Now, as far as support, despite being a fairly lightweight feeling shoe and having all of these lightweight aspects like the very thin upper, the super bouncy midsole, and all that kind of good stuff, they didn't lack support at all. So that was one of the main things that you normally will sacrifice with a lightweight shoe, is that support tends to go out the window sometimes. So while these don't have a super wide base, they're wide enough so like you do feel stable. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Kyrie, where again, they're rounded along the forefoot. So if you do happen to have that kind of like rocker first step, you're ultra shifty, you should be covered. But then this TPU panel right here really cages that midsole so that it's not squishing or over compressing and then causing you to roll over. There's a carbon fiber shank right there at the midfoot section. It's shaped very similarly to an infinity symbol, so that's right where that is, so it doesn't allow for too much over twisting while you're inside the shoe. And then the heel counter, that's the one thing where like that could be a little bit more substantial than what it is. What's in there gets the job done, but if that was beefed up just a little bit, this would be one hell of a shoe. Even though it already is, it would just be like one of those like elite shoes. Now, the main downside to something like this is, one, they're not available in stores, so you can't try them on. Two, they don't seem to go past size 11. How rude! I think that's a detriment. So like if they can actually like open some tooling molds up, and I know that they have them because they sponsor professional athletes, so you have the capability, that I think would be great, because then more people would be interested in trying them out instead of basically cutting off a good portion of your consumer or potential consumer right from the jump. But for the price, for its performance, I think that it's excellent as long as they have your size available. So if you were interested in checking these out, again, it's a 361 BIG3 5.0 Pro Quick. Do we have a question of the day?
What is your favorite way to lace your shoes when you're not playing?
Like just casually?
Yeah.
All right, so these guys are factory laced, and what I will do is I will just, wow, these are long laces. I'll just unlace them, and, well, this one, I would lace them all the way to the top, but I'll just do this just to be quick. I'll do that, and I'll do that, and I'll just kind of like, I guess you would say taper it, so it's like not as, you know what I mean? So it like looks uniform all the way down. And then I pull out the tongue and everything. And that's pretty much it. Once I'll stick my foot in there, I will adjust the laces a little bit. And like I said, these are like a little long, so are all of this stuff up here. So I would do this. Kind of like that. And then I would lace them up. And that's pretty much how I lace them or wear them right now. This is good for me because one, I wear my shoes pretty much true to size, so they're snug so they don't flop around on me. Two, my feet expand because I play basketball a lot again, so everything hurts. So keeping things loose works for me. And then even if I have them tied, I will put my foot in there after doing this exact thing. So like pretend like that's my foot, I guess. And then I will tighten them up really loosely or really lightly, like this. This is where I will typically take them out of the top rung. And then I will just lace them like that. And then that way they're loose enough where I could just slide right in, and it allows for expansion and stuff throughout the day. So that's how I typically will wear my stuff off court. And that's pretty much everything. Obviously some retros are a little bit different, but primarily it's those two exact ways. I don't do anything fancy. I really just loosen them up, and that's pretty much it. So I guess hopefully that helps anybody that's interested or curious, and that's pretty much everything. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Let us know what you think about these down below in the comment section. I don't think they'd be able to answer the question of the day because there's no visuals.
No, this was more of a getting to know you, personal. Plus it's a question that I see happen enough, and I was like, oh, it kind of fits since it is a performance review, and
I'm not showing off my toy collection this time. Yeah, that does fit. Thank you guys for everything. I hope that this video helped you guys out in some way. I will catch you guys on the next one. So until then, have a good one.